So hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 12 of our Manor Racing F1 23 save here on the channel. Now if you didn't watch the last episode in Italy, go back and watch that one because Lewis Hamilton cleared up fastest lap of the Grand Prix, winning the Grand Prix as well. Checo Perez coming in P2 and Charles Leclerc finishing on the podium as well. Max Verstappen only good enough for P6, which means for the standings, Max Verstappen is still leading, but Lewis Hamilton is chasing him all the way down. He's not too far behind, neither is Checo Perez. It's a three-way fight for the driver's standings. The constructor's standings as well. Red Bull are in front by some distance now, 70-odd points. Red Bull in front of Mercedes. Ferrari's got P3. We are fighting for P7 at the moment with Williams, but we just need one good result and we could be in the fight for P6. Now, just to bring you up to date with the R&D at this moment in time as well, we have got a few developments coming onto the car, and progress history-wise, we have dropped back below Haas. We are the third worst team at this moment in time, just beating Alfa Romeo and Alpha Tauri. I think next season is going to be the big season for us. There's a lot of things I'm planning to do with this series, so stay tuned for that. But this weekend, we head to Singapore, and as we just advance time a little bit as well, Singapore, the weather can play a huge part in this race. Safety cars, you name it, anything can happen here in Singapore. We'll just have a little look at this chassis department, and it looks like a charity has asked us if we're happy to patronise their cause by becoming the face of their latest campaign. Yeah, go for it. We're happy with that. We don't mind that. So anything we can do for a good cause. But as we forward on, we have now got the Singapore Grand Prix for round 12 in this season. I'm going to get through qualifying and I will see you on the grid for the Singapore Grand Prix. So ladies and gentlemen, this is the qualifying. George Russell is on pole position, Lando Norris in P2, Hamilton in P3, Verstappen only P4. But it's a very disappointing one for us. We are in P20. Very disappointing indeed for us, but hopefully we can make up some positions on Sunday. Let's get to the grid for the Singapore Grand Prix.
Marina Bay hosted a Grand Prix that briefly ran in the 60s and 70s, but the Garden City re-entered the calendar for good in 2008. We missed it for a couple of years, but it was great to come back to the Singapore Grand Prix. We're here at the Marina Bay Street Circuit today, located in the heart of Singapore. The circuit consists of 23 corners, 13 to the left and 10 to the right. It's a track that's incredibly technical, so don't expect to see the drivers taking too much of it at full throttle. It's time to take a look at our starting grid for today's race. George Russell will begin today's event in pole position, edging out Lando Norris, who'll start from P2. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Hamilton, Verstappen, Leclerc, Perez, Fernando Alonso, Sainz, Oscar Piastri, Gasly, Bottas, Ocon, Zhou, Stroll, Hulkenberg, Albon, Magnussen, Sargent, Sonoda, Lewis, De Vries and Ollie Caldwell. That's it then, it's time to go racing as we head down trackside for today's race.
So you join us on the grid in a very dry night in Singapore. It's very humid. It's very humid here in the UK as I'm recording this. So let's have a look at the strategies now. We're having a look at the personalised strategies. We were very good on his tyres in practice. We ran the first full practice session. We did the simming ourselves. And I reckon we're quite decent on tyre wear. So we're going to start on the soft compounder tyre, then go on to the medium. We've took a little bit of fuel out, but I've just got a funny feeling we're going to be pretty decent on our tyres around here. So softs onto mediums, a lot of work to do. Let's get to 5 red lights. So this is it then, the Singapore Grand Prix. It's George Russell on pole position from Lando Norris. Who's going to get away better? It looks like it's going to be George Russell who's got the better getaway, but we're going to ride straight on board with us because we have got a fantastic getaway. Up to P18 early doors. We're just going to keep it down the inside here. Try and not get in any trouble at turn 1. That's the idea on board from us. We've got Logan Sargent on his right hand side, but he's on the medium compounder tyre. We're on the soft. so we should have better traction, but he squeezed us into this right-hander, but we've managed to get around the outside. We get in front of him, and if we're looking on board from Logan Sargent's point of view, he's up the back of us here, but we do cut across a little bit, maybe a little bit unfairly, but Sargent looks to try one down the inside. We got a little bit later on the brakes, and we're now having a look at Nico Hülkenberg there, but the story is George Russell in P1 from Lando Norris, following closely behind. Then comes Lewis Hamilton, Max Verstappen in P4. Then we see Charles Leclerc, Checo Perez, and Alonso Piastri in P9, Sainz P10. Sainz P9 and Gasly in P10. We're going to have to sit in P18 here. We're sat in behind Hülkenberg at the moment. Just getting to grips with the tyres, getting grips with the flow of everything here. And as the laps start to tick on, we'll look to start making a move on the Haas and possibly the Williams in front. As we come towards the end of lap 1, it's George Russell leading by 0.8 of a second. And coming on to lap 3, we are right on the back of Nico Hülkenberg. We feel this is our best sector at this circuit. We go a little bit wider, trying to set it up for the next corner. We get the power down, get the traction on these soft compound tyres. Hülkenberg squeezes. We don't get any room there. So now we're going to have a look down this long, winding straight. Will we be able to make a move here? We're right up the gearbox of Nico Hülkenberg. There's a little tap of the wall there. It's getting a little bit feisty between ourselves and Nico Hülkenberg. We're going to ride on the cockpit view, but we have managed to get that move done. We're past Nico Hülkenberg, and now the next man on circuit is Alexander Albon. But I felt we were quicker than the Haas, but we have just got on the team radio that Kevin Magnussen is struggling with an issue, so something to bear in mind there. At the front of the Grand Prix, George Russell has broken the DRS of Lando Norris. Lando Norris 1.3 seconds back from George Russell. Hamilton is 0.7 of a second behind Lando Norris, and Verstappen still in P4 in the Red Bull. Then comes a 1.3 second gap to Charles Leclerc. And on lap 5, it all seems to be happening down this start-finish straight. We can see in front of us Albon and Magnussen. We're having to take a little bit of evasive action here, just seeing who's going to come out on top in this little battle. We get the power down well again, and now we've got Alexander Albon under a little bit of pressure. We stay nice and just steady watching this behind. We're confident that something's going to happen here. Magnussen and Albon have been going at it now for a lap or two. Magnussen struggling but doing his utmost to defend. He cuts across Alexander Albon, and as we're riding on from board from our point of view, we see Albon, and then Magnussen cuts across us there. We're on the brakes, but Magnussen again struggling to get past him here. He looks to chop across us again, and he's still causing us all sorts of problems. And what this has allowed is Alex Albon to get away in front of us. We'll ride on the cockpit view once again. There's a little bit of bump, argy-bargy there. We managed to get past him, and we are up into P16. But Alexander Albon now, as you can see, 1.8 seconds up the road from us in P15. But we do feel we've got the pace, and hopefully now Magnussen will hold his teammate up. We can see Ollie Caldwell in that little bit of a train behind. He's beating Yuki Tsunoda at this moment in time. We have had Nick de Vries retire from the Grand Prix, so it's now all about chasing down Albon, as Russell is 1.8 seconds clear of Norris. He joined us back on lap 9. We've managed to close the gap on Alexander Albon to under a second. We're back in the DRS now and feeling very, very confident indeed. The car is coming to us, but as we come around this corner, we can see the Alpine of Esteban Ocon stop there, and that has meant that we've broken our front wing. I'm not quite sure if Alexander Albon got a broken front wing from that as well. Let's have a little look what's happening with Ocon. Ocon just about getting himself back on circuit here. Fantastic camera view there, but Esteban Ocon broken front wing, but so have we, and we can see on that left-hand side of the front wing, right-hand side as we're looking at it now, we are really struggling for pace now in this Manor Racing car, and we are going to have to pit this lap and get a new front wing put on. I'm not sure. If we have a look at Albon, Albon is coming into the pits. Now, I don't know if that was just his strategy or whether he has got some wing damage. Let's have a little look here. So we see Alexander Albon trundling down the pit lane. We're really struggling to keep the car under control with this damaged front wing. Let's have a little look to see if the Williams guys have got a front wing waiting for Alexander Albon. The Haas cars are coming out, but let's have a little look here. He's on. He's got no front wing damage, and as we can see, as we come into our pit stop, we have got front wing damage. Disappointing for us here, and we have got a long way now before we come back out. Let's have a little look behind us. We've got Magnussen behind us and Tsunoda, so we've lost a lot of time in that pit stop. Around 7.5 seconds added to what we really didn't need, and we will come out. Let's have a look at the gap to Alexander Albon now. Gap to Albon, 8.4 seconds. Meanwhile, at the front, it looks like Lando Norris has pit on to the medium compounder tyres. He's going for the undercut on George Russell, who's yet to pit, still on the soft compound tyre. Perez hasn't pit either. It looks like Verstappen's been in and Hamilton as well. So the front runners pit in, but we have lost a lot of positions and a lot of time, and now find ourselves down in P18 with not too much to get in lap 10. And as we come to the end of lap 10, huge moment in this race because George Russell is in the pit lane and Lando Norris is coming around the final corner. Let's have a little look what happens here. Norris is getting towards the top. You can see George Russell there on the left-hand side as he comes out, and Lando Norris has jumped his fellow British driver and now is in the lead, a net lead of the Grand Prix. Zhou Guanyu is yet to pit, so he's in P1. This will hold Lando Norris up, but Lando Norris managing to get the job done, get the undercut, and also get past the Alfa Romeo. This could be absolutely crucial in terms of this race because George Russell has not managed to get past it. Although Lando Norris has run a little bit wide there and let Zhou Guanyu back through. Not ideal at all. All Norris can see in his wing mirrors is two Mercedes. He's not going to be too impressed with that, but Lando Norris in the net lead of the Grand Prix. We're now, what, 8.5 seconds behind Alexander Albon. Starting to get to grips with these tyres, it must be said, but that has absolutely killed our race. Getting involved in that there with Esteban Ocon. He's one of my drivers and F1 manager. I'm not thanking him at the moment. Lap 16, and you join us back. We are catching up to Zhou Guanyu. Zhou Guanyu was one of the latest pitters, and the fact that we got on the fresh tyres got that little bit of an undercut on him, and it's really paying dividends for us at the moment. We're now within 5/10 of the Chinese driver. Spent a lot of his time in Sheffield, of course, so he'll be very aware of the Manor Racing team. So we are now in striking distance of Zhou Guanyu, but it's not the most easiest track to pass around here. As you can see, we're now right up the gearbox, and we feel we are quicker than Zhou Guanyu at this moment in time, but we're trying just to make sure we don't make any mistakes because that is the last thing we need at this moment in time. As you can see, we're pushing him round this Singapore circuit as we get to see some of the fantastic scenery around here. It's a race that I would love to go to in real life, but here we go. We are still pushing him around, but can't find a place to pass just yet. At the front, Lando Norris is leading by 0.5 of a second from George Russell. Lewis Hamilton is in P3. This looks like your podium today. Max Verstappen doesn't seem to have the pace at this moment in time to catch up with this top three. So the two Mercedes and Lando Norris having a fantastic time. We have just got Zhou Guanyu to pass, and then I think that will be job done. Lap 16. And coming on to lap 18, we are closer than we have been before now. Zhou Guanyu, we are feeling confident. Whether his tyres are just not working, whether the car's dying off, he's got a little bit of a problem, or maybe we have just found our groove here. But we are now right on the back of Zhou Guanyu, and we've got this next DRS straight to come through. Will we be able to do it as we get a decent exit from there, get the power down and get that DRS wide open? We are looking at the back of this Alfa Romeo. Will we be able to make a move? We dart to the right hand side. Zhou covers us off. We go earlier on the brakes, try the switchback. We could see the marbles there on Zhou Guanyu's car. He squeezes us a little bit. We go around the outside of this tight right-hander. It's fantastic battling from us. And by the time we get to this next left-hander, he has to concede. And we are through up to P14 on lap 18. And now hopefully we can use this pace and burn away from him. P14 after starting 20th, and having that incident wouldn't be the worst result in the world. Just sad that we're not fighting for points today, but at the front, Lando Norris still battling away with George Russell, but holding him off. And you join us on the final lap of this Grand Prix. Lando Norris is still leading at this moment in time from George Russell, and it looks like George Russell has given up the ghost here. He's 0.8 of a second away. Lando Norris doesn't look like he's in any danger of losing this Grand Prix at this moment. Lewis Hamilton, though, will he fancy having a look at his teammate as we ride on board from the cockpit cam? Look at this circuit is so challenging for the drivers, but it doesn't matter because one driver who has accepted that challenge today and took it on head on, Lando Norris, comes round the final corner and will win the Singapore Grand Prix. Russell second, Hamilton third, Verstappen comes along in P4. P4, and you can join on board with us because there's not too much at this moment to show you now. Because after an incident Pike Grand Prix, I'm surprised we didn't get a safety car, if I'm completely honest. I would have expected a safety car, especially with the way that Ocon incident happened. He was spun round, bit of debris on circuit, but we didn't get any. You can hear the fireworks going off in the background. But as we come round the final corner, P14 in the Manor Racing car. Not the worst performance in the world, but we're a tad disappointed.
Great race it's been then. Another classic Singapore Grand Prix. And they've held on to take the checkered flag here today. Natalie Pinkham, how do you think they were able to set themselves apart today?
I really feel the track layout combined with the track temperatures we saw today suited their car. These cars come alive when the tyres are just at the right temperature, and the driver did a great job managing that as well. They just look so comfortable out there. It's like anything, it always looks so easy when it all just clicks.
Our winning drivers are on their way to the podium right now. It's been a fantastic race for McLaren, that's for sure. And no doubt, they'll be celebrating.
And I'm sure he will indeed. Lando Norris wins the Singapore Grand Prix, and it's the two Mercedes on the other steps on the podium. Unbelievable that Mercedes are challenging Red Bull in this alternate F1 universe that we're having here. It's going to be an absolute fight down to the wire, and Max Verstappen and Christian Horner, you better get ready. Let's have a look at the full classification. And as we saw, Lando Norris winning from George Russell in P2, Hamilton P3, Max Verstappen staying where he was in P4, Checo Perez P5. Then we've got Charles Leclerc, Alonso P7, Sainz P8, Piastri P9, and Gasly getting the final points paying position. We finished in P14. Apart from that crash, I feel we may have possibly been 13th, 12th. I felt we had some decent pace today. That probably shows on the best lap times. I felt we were possibly in the top 10, but we did have a shocking qualifying. Zhou Guanyu, we saw him pass on circuit. Decent performance from us. Ollie Caldwell finishing in P20. Nick De Vries was the only DNF with Esteban Ocon having that crash on circuit, what we got caught up in. If we have a look at the standings, driver standings wise, Max Verstappen is still leading by 20 points from Lewis Hamilton. Checo Perez is in P3, so these three are going to fight it all the way down to the wire in Abu Dhabi. But if we have a look at the constructors, Mercedes do gain ground. It's now 60 points between themselves and Red Bull. We didn't score any points, neither did Williams, so it stays P7 and 8. We are trying to chase Alpine down for P6. I hope you've enjoyed that one. Please do like and subscribe, and I shall see you on the next one. Ta-ra!